But I'm going to do it.
So just back from London.
Just back from London.
After your first...
Feels like a really... Because the space that you go into is almost like a womb. So it's like dark and no sounds or lights from the outside getting there. So I feel like this feels like a very different environment. I was like, really? Was I just there? Finding the whole thing interesting. And I feel like I've been subjected to media and these topic areas for my whole life, but my whole career. And then you get to participate in them, but you don't really get to shape them. And now I'm getting opportunity to shape something, not completely, but I'm participating more. So I'm learning a lot, and I kind of hope that understanding the process a bit more is useful. You make a program like this 5 years ago, I think in a way, whilst it would be interesting and it would be journalism, I think the context was a context where, gosh, change is so slow. This might be interesting, but this is really just theoretical. I think I've seen it myself in my own career, like not a hesitation to say we are in such an interesting time. Everything feels like it's open. Everything feels like it's changeable. So it's a really unpredictable, and therefore it can be quite intimidating and threatening. But it is a time of change, and so to make a program about something as established as juries now is a really interesting thing to do. And something I didn't expect was how much it feels like being an undergraduate student. So when you're writing an undergraduate paper and for whatever reason you're supposed to take yourself out of it and form your questions and your response relying on other people but not really using your own voice, which I've always, even at the time when I was a student, I thought that was a bit of a farce. Because, of course, you put yourself into your work. You put yourself into your work by the very questions that you pose and the literature, in that case, that you choose to use and draw upon in order to shape a response. And so I feel like whilst we were drafting the questions and chatting with Anishka about it, it felt like the first draft was like 100% me. Yeah. And then the next draft was like 60% me, 40% her. But that change was definitely like less of my voice, and I think it's a challenge for me anyway. Like I've been having opinions of my own for a really long time, but then I am genuinely curious about we're getting to interview such interesting people. I want to know what they think, but I also think we can have a really interesting conversation. So Gillen was in some ways quite an intimidating first interview because there's a sir in Gillen. But no, but also because it's really in a way talking to the judiciary about a fundamental aspect that generally speaking they have quite a lot of faith in. So potentially one of the harder interviews for the whole thing, but he was so informed, so brilliant at answering. I think it was actually a very generous start.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the mistakes people make with the criminal justice system when they're talking about it. They think when you approach it, you're like pro or anti-conviction, which is like you want justice, you want a system that works. That doesn't mean it's about more convictions necessarily. It's about a system that we can have faith in, and a system that struggles because it always will, but I want it to struggle with the stuff that's really hard, not stumble over the stuff that should just be rudimentary and easy to do. Maybe if you could characterize the space as doing maybe similar things for a long time, like trying to raise awareness, but like quite predictable, targeting important things, but slow, steady progress. And it's like the chemical composition of the space has changed. So you don't need to work in that way anymore. You can work in more interesting ways. It feels less incremental, more chaotic, but like that's okay.
Yeah, because it's alive, because it's being stirred. That's why.
So it's really like what a like it is a privilege, and then that's a responsibility. If recording the behind the scenes stuff can help people understand or just get to witness some thoughts about how you pull something together when you're just a small part of a thing, then that would be a pleasure to share. I think it's really good to capture your journey as well, because it will change at every turn. It will be different. So, and just to look at that whole picture. And actually, I want to know if I'll still put me in front of the camera when I think, fucked up that interview. Didn't do a good job, and I'm feeling vulnerable today. Because. But that's what you're opening yourself up to. Yeah. Of course. But today, I did good. I enjoyed it. Learned a lot. And excited to go to Edinburgh next week to do some more. Next up, Edinburgh.